now tuned into the greatest.
What's good, family? Today's episode of the 600 podcast was conjured up in my mind after hearing about the passing of one rapper named Young Noble. Unfortunately, this man left this world due to suicide, and it got me to thinking, as I always do when I hear about somebody passing away, why? Why did they do it? Were they sick? Were they having money problems? And as I always think about this and the confusion when I first hear about anybody, ending their life, I'm unfortunately reminded that myself personally, I too have dealt with the issues and the backlash that is depression. And so in this episode of 600 podcast, I'm going to try to give you a glimpse into my mental health, for better or worse, and how some of us men tend to think about things. All right, let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever is best to reach you. Listen to another episode of 600 podcast. I am your 5'9" host with sophisticated ignorance, Uncle Poochie. Yo, we back. It actually feels good to be able to say we back. Like, cause I be saying we back, right, but then we be gone for a while.
Right.
But like we actually back.
We back.
We so back, I don't even know if I even have to introduce you. I think you people know who you are.
Do they know who I am?
Nah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, y'all? It is your aunt, Amanda B. I'm back at it like a healthy habit.
Hey,
gang.
Healthy habit. My snack, my lovely dearest, my lady. Nah, man, it feels good to be back into the Petty Cash Studios. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Mark. You guys are so fucking great. I actually feel official. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're
sitting
used to this.
Yeah, feel good, don't it?
It's nice.
Nah, but honestly, man, if y'all got, an opportunity to be in the LA area, stop by Petty Cash Studios. This is a fly place to come record your podcast, yo. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really want to jump into today's episode, but
you don't want to jump into it.
I don't want to jump into it. I ain't got the energy to jump into it, but I guess that's normal given today's topic and shit. Like I was saying, if you guys saw the intro to the video, today's episode was conjured out of my mind after hearing some unfortunate news about someone committing suicide. And I was just like, damn, I've been podding for so long that I hear this phrase a lot that definitely applies to me. Missing the plot.
Right.
A lot of people use that phrase, missing the plot. And it's crazy because like my podcast name, for those who have known me for some time, understand the plot. But for those who don't, they probably hear the name and think, what the fuck? Why do you have a podcast referencing death? Actually, true story. Been asked that multiple times. And, for those who know, it's a, my podcast name is just a play on words, 6 feet under 6 feet, the 5'9" host and whatnot. But for those who recall when I was Uncle Poochie recording out of my mama's basement, my podcast definitely, as I used to tell people, it was therapy. And it was because when I started the podcast well over 5 years ago now, I was in a different place than I am now. And to say that I'm thankful to be out of that place is a fucking understatement.
Right.
But to say that life couldn't easily put me back into that place without a blink of an eye is also an understatement. Because, life is fickle, man.
Mm-hmm.
So when doing this episode today, I was just like, I didn't want to jump into it, but I knew I needed to do it. Last month was June. men's mental health.
Yes, men's mental health awareness.
You see, I don't even know how to say that. So I don't know what that is.
And it's like, I'm not taking away anything from the other celebrations that June holds.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not talked about enough.
Well, it's crazy because
you didn't even know. No shade.
Nah, I mean, I knew of Men's Mental Health Month awareness. I'm sure I said that wrong.
It's fine.
But again, just like men's mental health, I didn't think nobody gave a damn. I mean, I knew about it, but who gives a damn? Like, let me tell you something. It's not lost upon me that when you watch a football game, you see commercials about erectile dysfunction. and I don't know, hemorrhoids.
Right.
But you don't see commercials about depression.
I'm just saying.
It's crazy, right? And I would be lying if I say I'm not one who hasn't added to this problem, because I've done many attempts to focus on my mental health, but I've also done many attempts on avoiding my mental health due to the stigmas that come with it, you know?
Mhm.
And so with this episode, you know, I would like to just, you know, maybe reopen up, revisit, re-speak, re-talk about things that made the 6 Feet Under podcast, the 6 Feet Under podcast, which is therapy.
Mhm. Mhm.
And kind of like just paint a picture of what goes on in my brain. Cause it's crazy. I speak to other men sometimes and they going through the same shit. And I'm just like, wow, I thought I was the only one. You know, you do think you're the only one, which again, like the depression thing, right? That right there, just to open up, is just crazy, because men's mental health awareness, what that is. What is that, ma'am? Hold on. Let me stop. Before I even go any further, my lady is in the mental health space. Is that right? Is that how you say it?
Yes, I
Okay.
come from the detox rehabilitation center background,
Boom.
where they focus on substance abuse
Boom.
and mental health abuse.
Boom. Yes. I mean, she be doing important shit. I'm not taking my shades off. Anybody was like, well, I probably will start crying. That's why I'm not taking my shades off.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. For anybody wondering
None
that
of
in the
their
comments.
business.
None of their business. But no, I come here today and wanted to talk to you directly about men's mental health and, you know, the stigmas and the issues with it from your personal, professional standpoint, and just wanted to see if you could help me shed some light on growing, because I did something recently, guys. We did something recently. This one over here. Yeah, now go ahead, put it up there. I wish I could zoom in. I'm gonna zoom in and edit. Yeah,
like
look at that. Yeah. Yeah. I became somebody's husband. No, I'm just kidding. I'm happy to be married, but I didn't realize that being married would bring unspoken stress. You see, here's the thing. I thought that, like, because I didn't have things like kids and maybe a mortgage to worry about, that maybe I'd be a little bit more stress relieved.
Unspoken stress.
Unspoken stress. Look at that. Me using terms in mental health. What's
the biggest unspoken stress as a husband?
Being worried about your wife 24/7, 365. Especially when she's fine. Being a provider. That's probably the most unspoken stress I would feel as a man. And so, you know, in this episode, y'all gonna hear me and my lady talk about some mental health shit, and I'm gonna ask her some questions. She gonna ask me some questions, and then we gonna talk this out, because I feel like it needs to be heard. First things first, let me ask you this. What do you think, and why do you think us men, you know, I'm over here asking you questions about my mental health. I'm always in podcaster form, ladies and gentlemen. Why do you think us men be so depressed and be hiding it, in your personal opinion?
I mean, I'm not going to be like, that's an easy one. But I mean, just the point blank period of I'm a man. I have clients who you try to get them to be vulnerable, or you try to do like an exercise talking about like, what do you like about yourself? And like, give me some things that you are proud of yourself. And you'd be like, I'm a man, I'm a provider, I don't feel nothing, I ain't got nobody. A lot of background. I mean, and then just growing up, we watch old school movies all the time, and we laugh about how you can't even joke about how some of the stuff we watch, because you can't be vulnerable. You cannot be emotional. You can't be that man on the block who was able to say, you know, I hurt or that hurt.
Yeah. I think that's like the crazy part about my depression now. When I catch it, just like all last month, I was a level of depressed, just dealing with some family situations with sick loved ones and stuff, right? But as a man, I realized like depression is a sneaky motherfucking monster. It's because like depression, that bitch be leaving, then that bitch be coming back. Uninvited too. Don't even be knocking on the door. She just be rude. She's like, hey y'all, I'm depression. I'm back, bitch. And you like, nah, I didn't want you to come back. And I didn't, and what's crazy is like the thing with depression to me is like you don't even know you have it, or you don't even know you're in it. I told you, like, I didn't realize I was depressed. We had our wedding celebration. I turned 33. Good things happened to us last month. And I didn't realize I was depressed until I looked at our car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me back up. I didn't actually look at our car. You took the car out, and another man asked you, can he wash your car for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because your car dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, damn. Call me out as a man.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Thank you. Nah, but honestly, that's when I realized, like, damn, I think I'm going through a little bit of depression. And it's like, again, like I said, because depression comes in different levels, it was the funk depression. Like, I didn't want to clean up. I even though I saw something dirty, I just kind of sat in it. And I still wonder why that happens. I don't know why that happens. I do know for myself personally, no matter how much money I make, it's still not enough.
Right.
No matter how many clubs I pack out, it's still not enough. And I know this about me. So I try my hardest not to make my job, my entertainment, like, define me. That's why I try to have different hobbies, because some people run to like their professions to help them with their depressions. And I feel like my professions just make me more depressed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, entertainment comparison, you're always being compared to somebody.
Yeah.
We're up and running in the same category.
Yeah. That's a big word you just used there, comparison. It sucks to never feel good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But what sucks is feeling that feeling not from other people, because I feel like I've accomplished feeling good enough in my own eyes.
Okay.
I don't need the validation from other folks. But I still haven't accomplished feeling good enough for myself.
Right.
So I do always feel like I'm comparing myself to something or somebody or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even when something's good for me, I have to remind myself. That phrase goes like, some days you got to remind yourself you're in places that you prayed to be at while you're there, or however that phrase goes. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Well,
like,
you prayed to be here 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And you forgot that, and now you're here, but you are not where you wanted to be, because now your mindset is even higher than it was 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
You're not giving yourself enough credit.
Yeah. No. Yes. No. Yes. Nah, I guess I'm not giving myself enough credit. I don't give myself enough credit because I feel like if I was giving myself enough credit, or the moment I start doing this is when I'm start doing this. And the moment you start sleeping on shit is when you start slacking. And that's not even like on some like gangster shit. I feel like that's in any form of like corporate America, street work, however you work. Like the moment you start getting comfortable.
I mean, it's a notch of success.
Yeah.
You just need to find a way.
Balance it.
To give yourself the kudos and be like, all right, it's Tuesday.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Well, I guess I'm glad you said that, because giving myself a form of success, give myself a pat on the back and kudos sounds cool. And it is definitely, something I could work on. But I guess my second part of this is the fear, the second portion of depression that I don't want to meet. But I'm going to be honest with you, and honest with you guys watching. This is like my biggest fear. I'm not going to lie to you. My biggest fear is becoming ultra successful in something that I wanted to do, and then not feeling whole enough to the point where I don't feel anything at all. So like, I guess like, for example, right? A non-suicidal example I'll give is like Mace. Everybody knows Mace.
Yeah.
Mace, Murder Mace, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Before the podcasting, when he was a rapper, when we were kids,
right.
He famously retired. And he famously retired because obviously everybody kind of knows the story. I'm not going to tell the story, but he said it. He just didn't feel fulfilled. Now that people say there's other things and other stuff that happened, I don't give a damn. But he said it. He didn't feel fulfilled. He was like looking around, wasn't enough liquor that could make him feel good, wasn't enough women that could make him feel good. And so he left and he found God, which I'm really happy about that. But then there's always the darker side to that story. And for the Maces who knew what they needed to do and walk away, there's the, the people who just took it an extra step. The name that comes to my mind right now, sorry, I'm gonna butcher the name, so I'll think about it. I'll look it up real quickly. But my boy, I always tell you about him, our boy from Disney Channel, Jet Jackson.
Yeah, Jet Jackson.
Yeah, Jet Jackson. A lot of people, if you 25 and under, you don't know who that is. But if you're in the 90s game like I am, Jet Jackson was a cool ass TV show that came on in the 90s and the early 2000s. Could be just the early 2000s. I can't remember. But it was on Disney Channel. And, you know, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not a Disney adult, but I was a Disney kid. Anybody born in the 90s, unless you know, were a psychopath, we all were Disney kids. Like, don't let nobody lie to you. You was under the sea. You know, you under the sea. Yeah, you know, I was out there. Anyways, Jet Jackson was cool as shit because it was about a black kid who was the star of a TV show, and the TV show ran in his hometown because he was just that popping. Anyways, like, I can't really recall an episode. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I just liked it because the main cast member was black.
He's a black man.
Not gonna lie.
You know?
And you know, representation matters, right? What's my boy's name? Hold on.
But he grew up and ended up doing, you know, TV shows. That's where he
was in Rosolian Isles. He was in Rosolian Isles. It was that little cop drama. Yeah. And you sitting here like, Rosolian?
I was like, no, because then I pictured her.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, obviously, is you know, we talk about him all the time. When I see him, my heart sinks because Lee Thompson Young was his name, by the way. Lee, in my mind, you know, had it. You know, he had he had the career. He was a good actor. Like you said, he didn't just do Disney Channel.
The ladies loved him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, he was a good looking man. Oh, how am I forgetting? He was in Friday Night Lights. All my football players, yes, he was Waterbug, Friday Night Lights. Bro was in some shit. And like I said, Rosolian Isles, I'm a old head, you know, status. I've been watching TNT, USA Network since I was like 10. But Rosolian Isles is like a little cop buddy show, and he was in it. And unfortunately, you know, he didn't see it, I guess, the way May saw it.
Exactly.
And you know, he I still don't know the details to it, but you know, obviously he committed suicide. And still to this day, it fucks me up because like when I see him on television, he never played the character who was like just like dramatically like disturbed. Yeah. So you didn't see him that way. And that's
like sad.
You see what I'm saying? And that fucks with me because that's how people want to view you all the time when you're in that type of business, aka the business we're in, you know, comedy, where it's like everything's got to be funny, everything's got to be this, everything's got to be that. And then, you know, sometimes some people get so caught up in so caught up in the hype that they don't realize that, man, that motherfucker got a whole different side.
Exactly. Like is it Twitch? The man that was on the Ellen show? Yes. That man danced and smiled and danced and smiled. And we heard he killed himself.
You know, that's crazy too, because like the Ellen show, I didn't watch Ellen. I just saw the clips. But like the whole show, you know, barring what controversy came and all that stuff, right? From what I was told and what I was seeing on TV, it was like supposed to be about kindness and laughter.
Giving back and kindness and laughter.
Exactly. And to be supposedly surrounded around that energy and still not feeling the love. I mean, it lets you know that like, bro, you could be working a cubicle or you could be working at CBS. It don't matter, bro. If you depressed,
you are
you just depressed.
The cubicle boy.
And it don't matter. Cause I'm telling you, bro, like I've been there. I didn't work in the cubicles. I didn't work in the office spaces. Your uncle was not always this fly, debonair young man you see today. Okay. Nah, man. I had day jobs.
In the cubicle.
In the cubicle. Emphasis on the day job. See when I had hair? In them cubicles. I was there. But I also thought when I was working those cubicles, you know, more money would make me happier.
Exactly.
And every time I spoke to somebody who seemed to have more money than me, the first thing they would tell me was, I'm not happier. So that's why I said it's like my biggest fear, because like I said earlier, the young noble thing from earlier really fucked me up, because I don't know too many people who have committed suicide. Luckily, I don't know too many people personally, but like when I hear about, you know, famous figures or people with, you know, public figure status commit suicide, I always kind of do this terrible rabbit's hole where I like go down and I check and I'm like, damn, they dead. And it fucks me up because a lot of these names of these people, especially like when I Googled it today, like I knew these motherfuckers, or I knew of them, I should say. Sorry. And like none of them, I would say, in any world worked a job or had an occupation that a regular motherfucker would not trade themselves with.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yep.
You sitting here thinking like, man, if I had this, if you did.
If you had this.
You would still be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if I could do, if you did, you would still be miserable. And that's not me hating. I understand money's important.
Yeah.
But, bro, what if I told you this? Just hear me out.
I'm like, you ain't gonna have shit if you're hurt. Stop.
You got to have your health. You got to have your mental space.
And not in a cliche way where, you know, I'm not shooting at the younger generation who is aware of the mental health because, you know, good for y'all, truly. But they do make a mockery of us because millennials, you know, in the generation before us is just now being okay with being like, okay, my mental health. And I feel like the newer generation of Gen Zs kind of made it a mockery. Please don't attack me.
Yes.
But you being like, I'm sorry that I'm 25 minutes late for 17 days in a row because of my mental health. You're like, but you have a matcha in your hand. You're like fucking making us a mockery, like for real.
Oh,
because
man.
I had to manage.
Listen, I get it. I get what you're saying. She's channeling her spirit of having to manage 20-year-olds, guys.
Well, no, but I just see it just like they make shows that, like we watched that show about like the generations at war because, and then she ended up failing because you were kept taking breaks of, you know.
Well, see, okay, so let's get into it. Is there a negativity to being too self-aware of your
like
mental health?
Focusing
Absolutely.
on your mental health.
Absolutely.
Too much.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. It's tough for me. I'm gonna be real. Because mental health is a important thing, right? Very important. That's what we're here to talk about. But there is, in my personal opinion, and maybe it's just me being a Gemini, but I feel like there's some good to hustle culture and the Gen Z, we ain't doing that shit culture.
The Gen Z's like, no.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is good to an extent.
I respect that.
Yeah. But okay, so my thing is this, right? Hustle culture, Wolf of Wall Street culture, whatever the fuck you want to call it, like that shit was cool in a movie.
I'm like, they were on drugs.
Thank you. That shit only looks cool in movies. I swear, hustle culture will only put you in one place very fastly, and that is the ground. True story. Your uncle in the year 2020 of our Lord needed to make some money. Shit was a little funny. There was a little thing going on outside called the Corona. I don't know if y'all heard of it. Anyways, I decided to pick up another day job. Don't ask me what I did. It was another day job. And on top of my day job, with my day job, I was working 2 jobs and I was working 7 days out of the week. Yeah, I did that for about 4.5 months straight, accumulated a decent lump sum of money. But going into the 5th month of doing this hustle, I had what's called a collapse. Yes, your uncle fell the fuck out. Like I dead ass like fell out. I was moseying along. Yeah. I was driving the car and I just blacked out because my body said, bitch, we can't do this no more.
Right.
So that whole story is to be told to tell you maybe take a fucking little day off. Take some PTO. I didn't know it at the time, but someone used to tell me, shout outs to him, shout outs to you, Patrick, guy I used to work with. He used to tell me, hey, bro, you burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah. Like,
and I would be like,
right. Cause I was working for sure back to back. I worked 18 hours a day.
I mean,
my first year out here.
Got to get that money. She did, guys. I know she did because I went through her phone when we first started dating and I was seeing when she was texting other niggas. She told them she was working all the time. They'd be like, can we hang out? She like, I'm sorry, I'm working. I was like, okay, checks out. Yeah, I go through phones. We married, so it don't matter now.
They're gonna be like, blink twice. They're gonna be like, Lord.
Nah, but to your point, right? I only have necessarily bad things to say about hustle culture. The only good thing I can say about hustle culture is that it is real. That's the only good thing I can say about it. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it is real. Some companies want you to hustle and blow your foot. Oh man, that was a terrible phrase. I was gonna use that. They want you to work your ass off really hard and hustle. Some companies, you know, they want you to do the bare minimum. Other companies just want you to show up. But I know in my figment of working with people, especially younger folks, I will say that sometimes y'all be a little too focused on your mental health. I'm sorry that your chowchilla died. I'm very sorry that your chakras didn't align this week with the stars in the damn sky. I'm sorry that, you know, your favorite basketball team lost and you parlayed on it with your chick. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. But get your ass in there because there's a cleanup on aisle 7 and we need your ass to clock in.
And you know what? If you want to decide to not do that for your mental health, that's fine.
That's fine.
But that is what I'm talking about, of making mental health a mockery while you're asking, like, why do you think some people don't take mental health seriously? Because I think that it's been turned into a mockery right at the tip of us really figuring out what it is and what it means to take care of your mental health. You'd be like, I'm sorry, I can't because I need to go put my flip-flops in the sand and look into the sun.
That sounds personal.
It's actually wasn't personal. I just truly feel like that is the extent that they have taken it to in my witness.
My issue with mental health awareness, you know, when it's being abused, is just using it as a crutch.
Yes.
Again, using it to an acknowledgement point is cool. I think we all should be respectful of, you know, others' stigmas or their issues, but like the crutch is just crazy. I'm triggered by the word trigger. People who use the word trigger me.
You have to figure out a way to then move in the next like step. Okay, awareness. Okay, then leads education. Like you then have to now educate yourself on the particular diagnosis that you either did to yourself or you've been given by the doctor. Or I work in a detox where they give you an assessment to then you see a psych and you are diagnosed with something such as bipolar, major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder. But they are given treatment plans as there is a plan to action.
But you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. You lead me to my next thought about this. The whole plan of action with mental health now being publicly acceptable is also a privilege that I don't know how much people know they're like lucky to have.
Right. Oh yeah,
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like we joke about this shit all the time, right? Like I like the TV show Batman. If you guys like Batman, the old school version, the 90s, the I don't even know which one because they got so many damn Batmans. I'm like, yeah, Batman the cartoon. But anyways, we talk about this shit all the time, and the way how mental health was stigmatized back in the day versus now, it's just crazy. Because one of my favorite characters from the Batman series is Harvey Two-Face. And I laugh about that shit every time we rewatch the cartoon because bro's problem is, and people don't even realize this, his problem is he's bipolar.
He's bipolar.
He's fucking bipolar, guys. Harvey Two-Face is fucking bipolar.
I mean, honestly, in The Sopranos.
Yes, go ahead. We've been watching a lot of Sopranos too, guys.
Because he has a therapist.
Yes. And
when I tell you the first season was all about Tony having a therapist. Absolutely. And how dare he have a therapist.
Come on, let's think about this. Let's role play. Hold on, let's role play. Yeah, see, we're gonna knock off Tony Soprano, huh? Heard he has a therapist.
That was actually literally a conversation with them.
He has a therapist.
He has a therapist. He out there talking about his feelings and stuff.
He's a rat.
And then the therapist is telling him the diagnosis. Absolutely. Especially this was in 1999.
1999. Yep.
So she's telling him, your mother is like schizophrenic. Like
Absolutely.
your mother is bipolar.
Yep.
And he was like, don't you talk about my mother. Like my mother is perfect. And it's like, that was a whole crook of a TV show, which I'm very aware
That was
that
the arc.
the
Yeah.
mob was
Yeah.
mobbing because
The
like,
mob was mobbing.
don't you dare
Yeah.
have feelings.
Yeah. Now, see, here's my thing, right? Back to the Two-Face, Harvey Two-Face thing in Tony Soprano. They're both in this weird world where they're being chastised and they're being like villainized for mental health issues. Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face amongst different things in the cartoon. I'll spare y'all the details. Go look this shit up. But initially in the cartoon that I'm referring to, he's getting blackmailed
Mhm.
for having to go to a therapist
Yeah.
after he got into a fist fight in high school.
Mhm.
He didn't no Epstein Island shit. No grab her by the pussy. No. He got into a fight. And they were like, nah, see, Harvey has attitude issues.
Yeah. Mhm.
What? Like, bro, what? Like, thoroughly, just 30 years ago,
Mhm.
as a man, you telling somebody, hey, man, sometimes I get a little overwhelmed and I find myself maybe anxious or angry. And so I go talk to a person once a week about it.
Yeah, like no.
You mean to tell me people was more okay with you smoking crack
I'm
than having a
saying.
therapist as a man at one point? That's fucking crazy. But it's the truth. It's the truth. Like you said, Sopranos, top 25. Literally, look it up. Top 25 TV shows. Every time you see a TV show list, they be like Sopranos, number 2, number 1. The show's about a motherfucker
The
who kills
crux-
people. Yes.
And
go
he
ahead.
has a therapist
That's it.
the first season,
Mhm.
and he can't even tell anybody
Can't
who
tell
she
nobody.
is.
Go ahead. No, go say it.
Just the lies.
Say it.
It's well, no, because then he sees her in public, and
Yeah.
it's like he has to lie about who she is.
Mhm.
We would rather listen about how Tony Soprano's being a nasty, disgusting cheater.
Absolutely.
Not that's the lady that made me not want to blow my brains out.
That's the lady
they
who
would
yeah,
rather laugh about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's the lady that helps me not whack one of you guys every
You
3
know.
episodes, even though somebody gets whacked every 3 minutes in the show.
Because what you do alone,
Mhm.
like you're not like working at a bank
No.
in the hood
No.
and a bunch of people
No,
come
so
in
you're
there.
a fucking mobster.
trying to
Clearly, you need a
rob
therapist.
you,
Yeah, like people are like literally here to kill you. Yeah, you need a therapist. But again, like I said, that's why that TV show's so cool because you can't recreate it now.
No, that is I'm also back to feeling like the mental health is being a mockery
Mhm.
because unfortunately we all have to go, or we don't. You work real hard and you never have to work in customer service a day in your life. Gang for you.
Good for you.
Okay. Or you work a job and your parents say you never have to go back there again and you can just work for them. That's
for you.
fine. But some people had to work at McDonald's
Mhm.
and get the stupid lady that threw the cup back at you because there's 5 ice cubes in it and not 4.
True story.
And you're this is the true story. And it's just like being like, I have to go because my mental health. Like I worked in detox, like I ran 2 detox centers.
Mhm.
And do you know how many times I couldn't leave because my mental health?
Mm.
I am not saying that it's good as I have swayed away and I'm on the administration side, but
Mhm.
that was a choice I had to make.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is always something that, okay, you can realize that might be affecting your mental health and then you can chug along to see how you can change that for you.
Mhm.
But we all can't make it It's Your Mental Health show.
No.
Like
No.
we can't.
No. I'm gonna be
I
real.
had to learn that myself.
Well, yes, because you are overdoer. I love you. But you overdo shit in a good way though.
yes.
And you have to remind yourself like maybe I should give myself a break. I think that's because you come from people just like I do, who necessarily, for better or worse, they didn't necessarily believe in taking mental health days.
Yeah.
Not because they didn't believe in mental health, but because it just wasn't a thing.
It's like, okay.
My
what-
father had me when he was 21 years old. This motherfucker literally had to take 3 buses to catch a job that paid him $5 an hour. He could not think about mental health.
Mhm.
He had a crying baby at home.
Yeah, like let me lay here
no.
and think
No,
about
absolutely
like
not.
sometimes you don't have that option.
Yeah, absolutely not.
But turn that into your option.
Well, I feel like that's when mental health becomes more of a goal that you earn,
Mhm.
less of a lifestyle that you feel like you should live in. Like mental health should never become a lifestyle. Like motherfuckers literally taking mental health days multiple times a month.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I get it, bro.
Do
If
what you do.
yeah, and again, if that works and you can do that, then that's fine. But I'm saying, like, you better not be working the third register at the local dispensary if that's your thing.
Don't be on my phone talking about XYZ.
I need more hours.
That you can't pay something.
But you can't come to work. That's what I'm saying. Mental health can't become a lifestyle.
No.
But for like people like your guardians and my guardians, like my heart goes out to them. And luckily now, like they get to like they lived, some of them unfortunately did not, but they got to live to an era where they see that like, hey man, the hustle culture ain't what it's all hyped up to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody who's like 45 and higher, unfortunately, just like us, but more like them, they were born like, bro, it's only hustle culture.
Yeah.
Black, white, brown, you gotta hustle, you know? There's no internet to make money off of in 1983, so you gotta hustle. There's no internet to make money off of in 1993, so you gotta hustle. Hell, there was no internet to make money off in 2003.
Yeah.
It was a little bit, but not that big. So you had to hustle, right? Yeah, scamming. And so like my heart goes out to the older generation because I do understand why they don't accept my mental health shit. Like you talking to people who in some cases been working since they was like 7 years old. And in some cases, these people were working before they was even IDing people to buy alcohol. So the world was a whole different place. That's what I'm saying. And with that, it's like the balance, like you said earlier, because again, like I'm gonna read this list off of like names, and this makes me wonder: was it a balance thing or was it like an attention thing? So this is a list of people I like looked up. Just like I said, I go down terrible rabbit holes when people commit suicide, and I got a list of names. This ain't in no order or whatever. I just got it off the internet, y'all. So the first one was the Steven Twitch boss, the young man you talked about, Twitch. Next one was, and I forgot about him, Don Cornelius.
Yeah.
Don Cornelius, Mr. Soul Train himself.
Yeah. Well, you know, sheesh.
The next one after that, I'm not gonna hold you. I tend to forget because I don't want to remember. Our girl Phyllis Hyman.
I just knew it. That's my girl.
Very, very sad situation, right?
That's sad.
Look
her up.
Next was Lee Thomas Young, the gentleman I told you about, Jet Jackson. Then after that was this young man was a random, but I was like, dang, I do remember this, was a young man named Ian Alexander Jr. That's Regina King's son.
Yes.
I remember that.
That's sad. 25?
Yeah. After that was Chris Lighty. Remember him? He was the music exec. He helped with like Bad Boy and stuff like that.
Yes.
Then they had Young Noble, who obviously, like I said, started the story. And then the last one was super random, but I was like, damn, that's sad. It was Rob Pilatus from Milli Vanilli.
Yep.
And so I read all those names off, right?
Sheesh.
And I was like,
Suicide.
All these people I just read off had more attention than the average individual. So was it their career and their lack of balance in their career? Or was it the lack of fulfillment that the attention brought? And I mean, granted, obviously I can't ask some of these people that question.
Right.
So, you know, I can never get an answer. So like in a respectful manner, I guess the way I'd answer that is, I feel like it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
In any field of work, whether it be entertainment, labor, anything, bro, balance is so fucking important. I would like to say I work at balance, but I don't. I'm like any individual. I do not balance things well. I find there are days, I mean, I have it right now with my health. I have days where I'm like tip top shape.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we're being healthy as possible. That is turned around by having maybe a month or two of eating terribly. And then I'm reminded when a portion of my body starts to hurt, bitch, we ain't young no more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, it's sad because like balance is definitely something I think we all like strive to have, but because how fast paced the world moves, it's virtually, I mean, it just comes and goes, you know. Yeah, sorry, you had something to say about that?
No, you're good. I mean, balance. I was just bouncing off of you, truly, because we don't know these people.
Yeah,
and their past, you know, rest in peace. So we're not able to ask them. But I do believe both because we don't know. Like, there are the people who lack common sense and self-awareness and boundaries. So it's like, you could be having a shitty day and a motherfucker run up to you and be like, hey, do this dance with me. And like, you don't know where I'm at. And they have to constantly have that shit turned on. Like, we talk about that all the time. Like, we aren't even a sliver of where, like, you know, they were, right? But we are the aunt and the uncle in the streets. And there are some times where they just think we're going to go out there and say something funny. When we just had an argument before we had to work this event, not with each other, but like work wise. Or if we did have an argument with each other in a disagreement, which, you know, we were able to work out. But even then, they like, you don't know where we're at.
That is crazy, because that reminds me of that story when old boy wanted to take a picture with me. And then when he realized I wasn't Aries Spears, he like ran away. And I was like, damn. So, I mean, I went from feeling good about motherfucker wanting to take a picture with me to like, oh, wow, this person doesn't think I am who I am. To like, hold on. That motherfucker just thought I was just supposed to take a picture with him because he was a fan.
Because he was
and it was like
fan.
A wave of emotion. Like, I couldn't believe that I went from like feeling happy to feeling like bad to feeling a little angry that like you thought I owed you this photo picture. And I thought to myself, well, damn, how do people who really like, how would the real Aries Spears really feel about this shit? Because like, he must really get that shit all the time. I hear you. Like, listen, if anybody takes anything from this episode, please don't walk up to anybody that does any trait of any skill that you like, whether it be dance, sing, crack jokes, and walk up to them and tell them, do that thing you do. Like, I swear to God, if a motherfucker walk up to me and say, Uncle Poochie, say something funny, I'm gonna look at them and say something funny. And that's gonna be the joke. Like, Jesus Christ, do not ask me to say something funny and think I'm gonna say something funny. I ain't no damn circus animal.
And nobody's gonna be like, get the fuck away from me.
No.
Because we taught ourselves that we now have the opportunity to build up and like learn how we're gonna act. But it is a sense of awareness.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you said, I know where I stand. I know I have a very realistic view of myself, right? So that being said, like, I know I'm not highly known. I mean, this video at best maybe gonna get 200 views. Shout outs to you watching this and whoever made it this far. Gang. I do understand, like you said, with a little bit of prestige comes a little bit of presence. And a motherfucker has definitely been putting on from prestige for the last couple of years. So the presence is there a little bit, depending on what atmosphere you in. So you're right. I don't get to just let a motherfucker step on my shoe and be like, I'm gonna slap shit out you. You slept on my shoe. Like, no, like, you know, that wouldn't be good if it got back to the powers of bees that sign paychecks, right? But that feeling is only multiplied higher when people know that they can get something out of you, I guess. I wouldn't know how to feel and still don't know how I would feel if I knew people were trying to try me because they knew they could try to sue me to get some money, or they were trying to try me because they were trying to get a reaction for their YouTube page. I wouldn't know what to do about that. But I do know that that's when it comes down to remembering that, all right, self-awareness is not, it's just like common sense. Shit ain't common. So it's on me. I put myself in this position. I made myself a public figure. I made myself accessible to people. And that's where I feel very saddened by the art of suicide. Because when you get into this game, especially people who commit suicide as entertainers, when you get into this game, you do this because you want public recognition. Somewhere down the line, you realized, and they had to have realized, that the public recognition was not enough. I feel like if you're smart, you realize that very early. If you don't get it that early, that's when the depression monster comes to kick your ass. Because I'm gonna be real with you, even if you get a little bit of what you want in this entertainment industry, you realize real quickly it ain't shit what you thought it was gonna be. Performed in Hollywood. I thought my life at one point 10 years ago, I performed in Hollywood, my life would just blow up. It blew up, all right. It blew up my phone bill. No, I ain't got no money for you. Just kidding. But no, it's saddened because it just makes me, like I said, my my whole point about today's episode was to just kind of open up and just talk about how we as men, as a modern men, kind of go through different waves of having to acknowledge our mental health. It is sad that most, and I'm just going to be biased in the situation, most men I feel like do not open up because they've opened up once or twice to the wrong person. And as a man, once you do that at least once the wrong way, you ain't coming back. Yeah,
like don't make a mockery. Of you being vulnerable, basically.
Well, it's just crazy because like I don't even know if people think they're making a mockery. It's just like, again, I would never like promote domestic violence, right? But like in a fist fight between men and women, generally speaking, men are more stronger. So physically speaking, a man's stronger. So like verbally speaking, a woman must be stronger. So I feel like when men get their vulnerabilities like made fun of or like get, disrespected for being vulnerable, it's more so a woman showing how strong, or another man, I guess I could say, showing how strong they can be with their words, which I don't know about you, but words hurt.
I mean, I just saw a video of a specific man sharing that he was diagnosed with anxiety, and the girl was laughing at him, and he said, "This is why, men don't open up." And I've kind of got the back end of the stick by females for promoting men's mental health. Because I just feel like there's certain situations where I've been the person in the room to understand, like, this person is hurting. He done gangbanged on everybody in here, but I know that man he's not doing well.
He just threw up the set on
he
all the homies.
He done gangbang and did the dance, but like that man is hurting. Okay, or
on the outside I bang, on the inside my heart sings.
Yeah.
Nah, it's real shit. So what you're saying is you're not a girl's girl and you side with the men.
And I just don't like that. I hate that.
You're not a girl's girl and you side with the men. We get it. We get it, auntie.
Whack.
We get it. You side with the men. We thought the whole time auntie was a girl's girl.
Again, June is mental health awareness for men. And I didn't see much men's mental health awareness stuff going around.
You didn't see a parade.
I didn't see the parade propaganda.
You didn't see, they ain't got t-shirts for it in Target.
No, and again.
Yeah. Nah, I think because no matter how, aware, I don't want to use the word woke because that just conjures up.
You guys have ruined it, honestly.
But it doesn't matter how aware we become of mental health for men, it still will be seen as a joke to many people. Well, again, let me clarify. My bad. I see it just like racism. A couple of grandparents got to die for people to take it serious. The further and further we get away from the Civil War, further away we get away from other weird shit. The further and further we get away from time periods where motherfuckers thought that you were supposed to be the Terminator and goddamn just be a man's man, which is still a weird term to say. Like, the more closer we get to empathy. But to the point we talked about earlier, we still got to have a understanding of a balance of like why great-grandpa Joe, who fought in World War II, did not get to just take a mental health day because he didn't want to go down to the factory and work. We have the opportunity to change what it is. And that's where like we have to come together, because there's a generation that's like, I'm going to go to the spa and spend the money that I don't have and then complain about how this is my livelihood. But like, you're not even letting your toe go into the river. Well,
because you're automatically claiming that's not good for my mental health.
Well, people who automatically claim shit's not good for their mental health, and I pray for you. because
I do.
I'm gonna be real with you. As an individual who has lived through 3 wars,
Sure.
September 11th, I think 2 recessions,
COVID.
a COVID, a market crash,
A crash. Millennials cannot buy houses now.
Columbine. I lived through some shit, and that wasn't even me making fun of all those things. All I'm saying is that in my 33 years, in our 33 years, there's a lot of PTSD to go around.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were to sit around and like hold our head on every one of those situations that came to knock we as a people down, we would be nowhere. So yeah, just think about that. That's why I just, I don't want war. I know I ain't old boy's daddy from That 70s Show, but like I do know that sometimes I feel like people do take the mental health thing a little too far, and I'm like, well, damn, you need to have a real problem. A real problem needs to come.
Yeah, we're always gonna have our thought process and their thought process.
Yeah.
I just cannot. I can't have the mockery of mental health. I think that's what bothers me the most.
Well, I mean, that would obviously bother a person like you, given the background and the work that you do.
The work that I do and just the work that I've done. Mm-hmm. And I will never, because I do hate when people be like, well, I used to blah, blah, blah. But it is a sense of a lesson. Mm-hmm. It's how you promote the lesson, because just because you broke your cartilage apart working hard doesn't mean I'm gonna break my cartilage apart working hard. But until you find another solution, we all in here packaging shit. Okay.
Yeah, nah. It again is the balance thing is that just comes
resources. You need resources that don't cost $9,000 a day.
Yeah.
Because I work in the detox, to where it's substance abuse first, but a lot of substance abuse comes from mental health.
Yeah.
So mental health is a second diagnosis, but it still costs money. Like that's a whole nother can of worms. If you can't attack your mental health on your own, then you can attempt to get help. Mm-hmm. But then we see the level of assistance. Mm-hmm. It costs money.
And that's where the game gets tricky. We didn't even touch into that. Like, even if you wanted to, like, damn, I don't know how we didn't touch into that with like less than 10 minutes left. Even if you want to get help, like, even if you want to get the assistance to meet lovely people like my lady over here, you don't need some good insurance.
Yeah. Or out of pocket pay, like.
Which, in layman's terms, you don't need some motherfucking money. Okay. Help costs money. And so that's when I'm like, damn, that's when the mockery of mental health becomes like hugely sensitive topic to me, because it's like, bro, if something is truly wrong with you, I do implore you to go get some help, but do not go in there trying to pimp a system simply because you don't want to participate in the rat race of society. Because again, my issue is this, right? I'm not going to rewrite the book. I'm not going to rewrite any of this. Like what I want out of life, what career paths we want out of life, what we are attempting to build out of life is going to require some hustle culture. It's going to also require some balance. But like dead ass thinking that I'm going to get any of this by jumping over ladders, jumping over steps. I like to tell you all the time, that quote by Nip, like you got to go through every phase. You know what I'm saying? Like every fucking phase. Some people don't want to do that. That's when my wife's lovely words keep coming into play, is making a mockery out of mental health, where you want to just jump a system and not work as hard because you are claiming that the labor is going to hurt you mentally. Let me be the first to say this. That's some weak ass shit. I mean, unless you got some type of disability, you got to go through the framework of getting your mental health ass beat. I didn't become mentally health strong until I went through some mental health issues. But again, maybe I'm sounding old school. Kids listening to this going to be like, oh my goodness, he's promoting trauma.
You're contradicting yourself.
He's promoting trauma. No. I'm just saying that like these things, everything can't be blamed on mental health.
The lessons that you have learned along the way.
Truthfully, it truthfully has taught me. It still hurts because like I'm still not like, I'm in a position where I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life ever. But I still wake up on certain days thoroughly unhappy with where I am. And I have to remind myself that everything's like a process. Every single day is a process. Every process has no estimated time limit. It could take 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 5 months, but it's a process. My biggest thing is not to beat myself up or not to allow my bad thoughts to get into me. Because the thing is, it's easy to tell this while you up. When you up, it's easy to speak positive. But let me lose my jobs, let me lose my access to certain things, and let's see if I'm this positive about that then. I like to say I would be, because just like I was when I didn't have these things, I knew they could come. So just like I know they can go, I know I'll still be happy with it. But again, that's a balance. Who knows? Hopefully I don't find myself 10, 15 years from now staring at down the barrel of some bullshit because I got everything I wanted and it still wasn't enough, or it still couldn't be enough. Yeah. I mean,